Michael Jaafar is a national trial attorney, and he is in Dearborn, Michigan. Joins us now. And, your reaction to the events of today? The Holloways get what they wanted out of this. Joran doesn't get any extra time, but they get the truth. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it matters. It matters. There's so many people who lose loved ones who don't know what happened to them. Her family now know. I mean, this guy is clearly a villain. You know, new things set in for the family, which is now they can put a face with the last thing that their daughter saw. That's not going to be easy. That's going to be very, very distressing for the rest of their lives. But at least they know. And kudos to our justice system. I mean, this shows you that American justice, listen, it's not perfect, but it's the least imperfect system in the world. And look at what it's capable of. It found this animal in a third world country jail, and they tracked him, they brought him here. They have a very long arm. And the justice system, this justice system is the best system in the world. And you're looking at a man that evidences that, and they'll get you. They won't get everybody, but they'll get a lot more people than in pretty much any other justice system.
Yeah.
Hey, we're just getting the, we heard Beth Holloway, and we were, and Shanley Painter reported that we were going to get the transcript of that interview, the confession from Joran Vandersloot, and we're just getting it now. The federal, the prosecutors have released it. So, because we're just getting it now, we're just going to read it, rather than take the time to put it into a document. So it starts with Joran Vandersloot saying, plus, this is a partial transcript. She asked to go back to her hotel, but I was just trying to get dropped off a little bit further away from her hotel so we could, walk back to her hotel and might still get a chance to be with her. Okay, that's what I was hoping for. Okay, says the interviewer. So what happens? Vandersloot, yeah, and Deepak drops me off at another place and a little right of the Marriott Hotel known as the Fisherman's Huts. This is a place not so far from, the next hotel is the Marriott, the next hotel after that, another one is another Marriott, which is timeshare, and then the Holiday Inn, and we walk along the beach. All right, they get out, come on now, what happens? Well, they leave, talking about his two friends, Deepak and Satish. They leave until they go back to the room. I assume they go back to the room. And then they get to their car and they leave. And actually, I'm with her, with Natalie, walking along the beach, and I find a space to get to before we get to the Marriott, where I lay her down. We lay down together in the sand, and we start kissing each other. I start to get her to kiss me again, and we start kissing each other, and I start feeling her up, and she tells me no. She tells me she doesn't want me to feel her up. I insist. I keep feeling her up either way, and she knees me. She ends up kneeing me in the crotch. When she knees me in the crotch, I get up on the beach, and I kick her extremely hard in the face. Yeah, she's laying there, unconscious, possibly even dead, but definitely unconscious. And I see her right next to, there's a huge cinder block laying on the beach. You say cinder block, says the interviewer. I'm looking at the walls like these. He points to the walls. Exactly the same, says Vandersloot. I see a huge cinder block laying on the beach, and I take this and I smash her head with it completely. Yes, smash her face, basically, until it collapses in. Even though it's dark, I can see her face is collapsed in. Afterwards, I don't exactly know. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I decide to take her, and I put her into the ocean. So I grab her, pull her, walk her into the ocean, push her off. I wake up, my knees in the ocean. I push her as far as I can, or push her off into the ocean, into the sea. And, yeah, then I get out, and I walk home. Wow.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, we brought a copy in, so we're able to see this transcript. Obviously, Beth Holloway was able to hear that, and during her news conference after, she did comments saying that it's shocking to hear the details, but parents have to hear the truth. And then she went on to talk about her daughter, how she was bright, young, dedicated woman, and that she was headed to medical school. And no doubt, did she ever have any doubt that she would complete medical school and go on to be a successful young woman? Michael, what are your thoughts? Ted read you the transcript. What are your thoughts for that?
My heart breaks. When I got married, my wife and I took a vacation to Aruba. Beautiful country, beautiful people. They take a lot of pride in how clean their country is and how low the crime rate is, right? So just imagine these parents, they sent their daughter went to Aruba and then she didn't come back. And now we find out this animal came from another country. And he basically, one of the very few crimes committed that year in that country was committed by him against their daughter. And when Ted read the transcripts, it was chilling. But I mean, it's really sad. So how much of it I believe it, because the prosecutors and the detectives and the investigators in our country spent decades extracting that. And this guy told the truth. He made a deal. He told the truth. I would have closure. If I were her parents, I would have some semblance of closure. It's no less sad, though.
Yeah.
And you could tell that Beth believes him. Like, afterwards, talking about it, she definitely believes him. And that detail, as horrific as it is, that's what you needed, right? Because at the end of the day, if he just said, "Yeah, I killed her," with no detail, you're going to always think, I don't believe him, or how this answers the questions of were his two friends. They were always part of this equation because he was, it was a threesome that was first with Natalie as they left. He talks about how they left. There was this version of the story that his dad helped him dispose of her body. Well, that now has been put to rest. So, Michael, that detail, as hard as it is, was, to your point, what they needed, the Holloways.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, if a person steps back and thinks about it, the girl was clearly murdered. Whether it's from him or somebody, she was clearly murdered. She went to this country, a country with very low crime, and she didn't come back, right? It makes sense that she didn't just move there and change her name and disappear, right? Everybody knows that she was murdered. Something very, very sinister happened to this girl while she was on vacation. And now this actually fills in the piece. And, if someone were asking me, it's either Vandersloot or somebody just like Vandersloot. That is the way her life ended. I mean, Aruba's a small country. It's pretty much all beach. It's a thin country. It's all beach. And so the thought that she died on a beach with a strange person who was a villain, a criminal, a monster, it makes sense. Even before they found Vandersloot, even before he was part of the lexicon, pretty much everybody knew that she reached that sort of a demise by somebody like Vandersloot. So how many of us were shocked when Vandersloot popped up last June in Alabama? Not many. We pretty much looked at him and said, that's kind of what we thought happened, right? People believed it was a foreign person in Aruba who did it before Vandersloot was found. Because again, Aruba is a country with very little crime, clean water, great people, great food, and they rave about how clean their water is and how low crime how much low crime they have. And I've been there. I took a long vacation. Those people, nobody believed that a national Arubian person did this, and this Vandersloot just confirms the hunches of many observers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you talk about Aruba, I mean, this story's been going on for nearly 20 years. And, when you talk about even just travel with your family, it's always tainted my view of Aruba, knowing that something like this happened here. And, Michael, I appreciate what you have to say about Aruba. It's a beautiful place. I have never been there. But just such a tragic thing to have happened there. And when we talk about Beth Holloway today, when she said, this is better than closure, it is over. And that is getting justice for Natalie. Again, I just am so happy for that family, for those of us who have watched this case for the last nearly 20 years. Michael, just want to get some closing thoughts from you on this.
Yeah, my heart breaks for the family, and what I say is, if it's closure for you, it's closure for me. If you, the family of Natalie Holloway, if you're satisfied, I'm satisfied. Anyone watching this is satisfied. You don't have to have a daughter who goes on vacation and doesn't come back for you to sympathize with the Holloways. Great people. They've been through a lot, 18-year journey, and it's over now. If you say that you've received closure, and if you say that this is over for you, we're all on board.
Yeah, Michael, I agree with you. That's exactly how I felt when you heard Beth say that. It's over for her, over for us. I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only ones that matter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chanley's going to have updates throughout the day on the developing story out of Alabama as the movement of Joran Vandersloot. It was said in court that they are going to move him immediately, get him out of the country as soon as possible.
Before we go back into court, let's bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, always great to have you on again. I'm going to call you Michael U. Ayala because it's just a little easier now. But let me ask you this. We were just talking about the fact that there is a young boy seated in the gallery, the row behind the prosecutors, and we know that that is Shanti's son from a previous marriage. And although he's a minor, apparently he's been interviewed, so there was full ability to actually show his face. And I have to ask you this. Do you feel like the state's closing argument and now the state's rebuttal is a little bit of a tribute to the victim because they are effectively, I think, weaving her into their argument?
I like what you and Michael said on the previous block, that the prosecutor is following a theme. I fully agree. He's following a theme. He's making it personal. He wants the jury to go into that box with no doubt. There was a closed environment where this woman emerged from the environment deceased, and he emerged, alive. So it's not like she mauled herself and she didn't drown in an empty bathtub. So the prosecutor is telling you, and he told them, look, she told you what happened because she died. She told you she was dead. She's a businesswoman. He did not get the car ready to take her to the dental appointment. She was dead. She told you she was dead. And so weaving it in and explaining it to the jury in that way, Judge Ashley, I fully agree. I don't see, in my opinion, I don't see reasonable doubt that the defendant committed this crime.
Quickly, Michael, only a couple of seconds left. It's 3 hours, 21 minutes. I don't think it's far enough in to say they're struggling with something, but if they are, what do you think they're struggling with?
Are you, Michael, are you talking about the defense? What are they struggling with?
No, the jury deliberations. They've been deliberating now for 3 hours, 21 minutes. So, again, as I said, doesn't seem like enough time to suggest struggle, but if they are, what do you think it might be?
That kind of shocked me, Michael. That shocked me, to be honest with you. I thought my prediction was that they'd have a quick jury. If I have to find out, if I have to opine on why they are struggling, it would be the financial motivation. There was no financial motivation. This guy moved from the north, came down to Orlando to marry this woman. He spent $600,000 on a house. They must be struggling with that. But also they watched a 7-hour interview the day before the deliberation. So to be honest with you, I don't know. I totally surprised that they're deliberating that long. But if I have to guess as to why they're struggling, it would be the financial motivation. This guy, looks like he's got his stuff together. He moved down, he married her, he had money. Why would he strangle her to death? Yeah, maybe that's why they're struggling.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I think the motivation goes to the level of the crime. Was it an intentional crime? Was this a crime of passion? That, if they're struggling, would be, I think, where they'd be struggling.
I agree with you.
Right. Michael, stand by. We're going to go back to court now. Before we end for the top of the hour, I want to bring back in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. And Michael, here's my question for you. We both agree that the motive evidence can be considered lacking, but I wonder if the cleanup evidence is enough to provide the intent here.
You know what? I agree with you, Michael. When I was watching his rebuttal, I kept thinking to myself, this is why I have always hoped that in our trial system we can allow defense attorneys to have a rebuttal, right? Because he is so convincing in the way he has explained, the blood and the carpet that was cut out, and canceling other potential explanations. I agree with you. That's very compelling because, look, you don't need a motive every single time you want to convict somebody of murder, right? That's just something that would be great. But here, obviously, if there's no actual motive, like a financial motive, or she's about to embarrass him, the evidence, the forensic evidence points against the defendant. And I can only imagine that his attorneys were hoping that they could get up and dispute some of this stuff and tell their side of the story. Obviously they can't, but Yeah, I agree. That was very compelling.
And so here we are almost 4 hours into deliberations by this jury. They haven't had any questions. Nothing's happened. They're back there talking. I'm a little surprised, Michael, that we haven't heard anything from them yet.
I'm very shocked. I'm very shocked. We've seen in the O.J. Simpson trial, they came back in 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
In 4 hours. And that trial lasted for close to a year. This trial, to me, seems his guilt seems pretty basic. So I don't know why they haven't asked any questions or come back already.
Yeah, me neither, but certainly we're going to keep our eye on it here at Court TV. Thank you so much, Michael Jaafar, for being with us as always.